So Diana,
Great.
Yes. Chris, is that you this morning?
it is me. Which of those bathing suits that were on the right-hand column of your email were you actually looking at before you hit that?
Just,
Thank
I've got it. I've got it. I've got it now. Thank you. You stay right there for those ongoing supports. So what I was saying is, I think we're never going to abandon the Noble Eightfold Path. It is our essential practice to be reflecting, continuing, identifying, like, where are we? And I had a recent conversation. I wrote a little moment about it in chat with my brother. He was getting pretty animated about what he thought was right in terms of certain decisions. And I sent him some other things, and I found this, and I thought I'd begin here. And so I hope Carrie's here for a minute just to help us let others in. But I thought I'd start with something by, thank you, something by Ty. And then let's expand on it for a moment and then figure out, how do we practice this? How do you practice this? Sometimes we speak clumsily and create internal knots in others. Then we say, I was just telling the truth. It may be the truth, but if our way of speaking causes unnecessary suffering, it is not right speech. The truth must be presented in ways that others can accept. Oh, wow. Can hear, can digest. Words that damage or destroy are not right speech. Words that divide, words that confuse, words that become debate even, cannot be right speech. Before you speak, understand the person you are speaking to. Consider each word carefully before you say anything, so that your speech is right in both form and content, in the how of the way you speak it, and in then the accuracy, the clarity, with which you are speaking. What a practice. What a practice. Any speech. So then here's the bottom line. Any speech that is divisive, right? Any speech that creates sides, any speech that does not draw us to our humanness, but rather to our opinions, is wrong speech and should not be spoken. Should not be. This is tricky business, because then we can too easily then become silent, become mute, become passive, become non-communicative, and this is no improvement. Right? It's harder than either side. And so how do we communicate that connects our essential shared desires for well-being, for happiness, for goodness, for grace? How then do we speak? And I don't have the answer. I am practicing like you. And what I was able to say to my brother this morning, the person with whom we had an animated conversation, He says something about the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And I say, yes, we have all made a mess of it. This is my response. Yes, we have all made a mess of it. And he writes back, not us, the politicians. So now here we are in divisions. It's all about power and control. We are a divided country, and it reminds me of the Vietnam War. There is no more dialogue or compromise amongst people. And he goes on. And I write, we, Steve, are the people. We are the people. There is no other that we get to blame, that we get to accuse. We have the job then, don't we? Of finding and living and speaking a better way. That's ours. And it's easy, if not to blame each other, to blame an institution, the politicians, the right, and yet we are the people, and it is our job. And yes, I agree. I don't think it is easy. I will back you 100% on that. I'm going to see if I can switch. Now that was from my brother. I want to go forward a little bit if I can. Here's another, see if I can you still see that, Chris? Can you see something that says it is unearned love? Is that good? Okay, yeah. Thank you. So here's another thought before we practice. I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. I'm going to repeat that. I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. This is the beginning of right speech. And then I'll go on to read one more of these quotes. It is unearned love, the love that goes before, that greets us on the way. It's the help you receive when you have no bright ideas left, when you are empty and desperate and have discovered that your best thinking and most charming charm have failed you. Grace is the light or electricity or juice or breeze that takes you from that isolated place and puts you with others who are as startled, as embarrassed, and eventually grateful as you are to be here. I'm going to leave it there. And then how do we cultivate this right speech filled, I will say, with grace? Filled them with connection, with belonging, with joining, with non-separation, with non-reactivity, with non-judgment. And again, I'm leaving it as questions because, of course, what do we know in any moment? What is best to be spoken that is filled with love and grace will not be passive, neither will it be aggressive. It will not be shy, and neither will it be arrogant. Right? That puts us right there, where what the Buddha calls the middle path. It puts us right there in that middle path. Let's see if we can't begin to find our way on that path as it relates to right speech together. Yes, I have heard about lots of cancellations and things. I'm not concerned about it because it is the way it is for us all. And who knows if I'll even get to Seattle today. Yeah, I think there's some good chances. Yes, I will send those quotes. So we're going to practice with this. And what did we say over the last week? We understand then that there is no noble path without activating, igniting the bodhicitta, Pema, and that tradition calls it, without the open heart, without the genuine wish first for well-being for all beings. If we do not begin there, it is so easy to separate, isn't it? It's so easy to find reasons for disconnect, for rejection, for refusals. And so we begin like this always, in the gathering first of ourselves, because if you don't have your whole heart here, and then your clear mind, there is no possibility for right speech, right action, right life. It's just not a possibility. And so this training that we now endeavor is for that purpose. You could say then, having read that little piece on grace, that we're simply going to sit in grace, non-doing, non-speaking, in stillness, gathering, collecting, and sewing the whole, ourselves into wholeness, and then all others into that wholeness as well. And so we begin here like this. We feel the parts, the feet, the legs, and the hips. And in the felt sense, in the engagement, we begin to see, know, feel they are not separate. One cannot be without the other. Touching down into this area of the body, letting the out breath draw downward, establishing our base and connecting us to the earth. You're already more present right now, these few breaths, than you were just a moment ago, with all your ideas about mobility, about politicians, about right speech. We let them go, arriving completely here to this body. Letting the out breath stabilize, ground, and steady us. And then we draw from the hips into the in-breath, moving up the back, all the way up and into contact with the head, the crown of the head. And not only do we feel the support of the spine, we feel into the reality of its flexibility, its pliability. It is not rigid. It allows for movements forward and back, left and right, and stabilizes us in the center. And then we enter the body with the next in breath coming into the front of the body, this softened front, feeling down and into the body, letting that out breath invite release and connection. And wholeness. Down the face and the throat and the chest and into the belly. And then finding that resting place, that refuge. Might be the whole body. It might be the whole of the breathscape. And it might be the whole breath. See where your mind can make connection. And just as an example, today there's a little heaviness in the belly, um, which I'm not seeing in any way as a negative. I think it's a grounding aspect. And I think I'm probably a little more excited than normal, a little more heart rate, a little more blood pressure as I'm packing and leaving and transitioning. And even though I'm not thinking about that, I'm in that gestalt. It's still here. So I'm holding a little larger scape today. And as we make contact, as we draw into our own wholeness, we call to mind the truth that our practice will benefit all beings. And so we cultivate there a little diligence, a little zeal, a little extra effort, and that which is beyond simply me. And we commit ourselves at this initial phase to the one task, the inviting the mind home to the body again and again, no matter the content of mind, pleasant or unpleasant, confused or clear. We make the commitment. And it is from this stability that we can then enact, ignite our nobility. But for now, we simply commit to this breathscape, this coming home, in this one breath. And the mind moves as it will, and without any judgments, recrimination, any aggression, any self making. We smile and invite the mind home again. And as you're touching into the breath, the out breath or the in breath, you're touching into this one moment, the only moment in which we can be alive. This moment that is filled with grace. With possibility, with infinite and boundless love, compassion, wisdom, and equanimity. It is all right here. Where else would you be? We're using the breath because it is autonomic, does not require thinking. And yet is an available metronome to just this one moment in which to turn, to move closer and open. Open to the boundless. There is nothing to construct, nothing to add, no accessorizing required. Can we simply open to the present moment, just this? And as we rest in the present moment, in this one breath in or out, what begins to happen is that we untether, untangle, unknot, untie ourselves from that small thinking mind, the one that has made you only about breakfast or traveling or delays or conversation. We remember by this very practice the boundlessness of who we really are. Larger, isn't it? Bigger than any circumstance. We make contact with our essential awareness accorded by this human birth. And we are glad. We are more whole, more present, more loving, more clear seeing than just breaths before. And rather than need to run off into doing, we can simply rest in that wholeness. And we drink it in. And then from this place of wholeness, from this bright light of awareness, from this present moment, boundlessness, we begin to open beyond the opinion, beyond the perspective, beyond the view. It doesn't mean we don't have one. It means we're not limited by it. And then green or blue, left or right, pro or con, this is not the greatest representation of any of us. And it matters. And only wholeness will draw the sides together. How do we speak then from a way that is unifying, that is inclusive, that is open, that includes listening? That begins with this resting in wholeness ourselves. And from then this place of wholeness, of open-heartedness, of clear seeing, of stable, centered, present body, what would you speak? And would the first thing you speak be an opinion about anything? And what would that be coming from? it would not be coming from this wholeness. What are the words that could be heard? As Ty says, we speak words of truth that can be heard by the other. Words of compassion, understanding the pain, the distress, the fear on all sides. And making contact with our own heart, our own humanness, we can breathe directly in, making contact with our own wish for safety, for peace, for ease, for happiness. And if we're calling another to mind, um, like I am calling my brother, for example, um, someone with whom we have had animated or an intense or confused or whatever the conversation, can we see them knowing that they, just like us, want those same things too? And the answer is no. Often we cannot see the truth of this because we have ourselves already architectured the other. As my brother said, as a politician, as a speaking mouth, as someone not human at all, and someone often, frequently, we perceive as trying to dehumanize us. And we hold ourselves first and then that perceived other, knowing out of our humanness, we are relying on each other. That our own safety, well being, happiness, and theirs is interdependent. Wholly interconnected, not separate. I cannot be well if you are not well. And then we can sense the capacity of our own heart minds to expand beyond the idea, to expand beyond any ideology, any perspective. And remember, it doesn't mean we don't have them. But that we must begin by remembering that we are each other's brother and sister. And then what would we say if we began like this? And so we practice just like this. We begin by being with ourselves, by remembering, reconnecting, joining our wholeness, and then opening that to include others, the perceived other who is essential to our well being. And theirs. And may we all be well. May we all be happy. May we all be free from fear, from othering, and remember our humanness. May we all remember the blessing of each other, even in our differences, maybe especially, so that we can come to see clearly the way to the middle path. And may we take the time each day to rest in these loving arms of compassion and equanimity, free from aversion, free from attachment, free from greed, from hatred, from the delusion of separateness. And then may we think, speak, and act in accord. And may we begin this very day. And just like this. And may we have the commitment and the courage to continue. And may this practice today be a benefit to all beings everywhere, from all perspectives, all ideologies, all viewpoints. May we all commit ourselves again and again to non-harming, finding Yes, I will send the Thai quote. It's a good reminder. And Seth, it looks like I'm blurry. My guess is that was my computer's wisdom. It smooths out the lines there a little bit. I have no idea. Clean the camera. Okay, maybe. Is that better? Looks like I have something on there. But see, yeah, I'm joking. Blurry. Okay, so hopefully less so. I wish I was only blurry. If that were the worst of me, that would be the good news. So I'm going to read here just for fun, since I used my brother and I as examples. I write, as I said, we are the people. I try to do what I can to end our divided world. Hearing pain, distrust on all sides, we can agree we are all getting it wrong and have much work to do. Love you every day, Di. And here's my brother. I like Dad's analogy. Love the people you love and screw everybody else. Love and miss Dad every day. And can we hold them both? Yeah. Can we hold them both? Yes, we can. As long as we understand, right, that as long as there is a side, you only have half the story. And it's always true. And then how to keep opening and then speaking from that without passivity, without being conflict avoidant, because that can mean we don't say what's true, as well as that we don't believe we are entitled to, or that this way is the only or the right, or this is where the self cherishing begins. It doesn't mean we don't all fight for things that we believe in importantly, but I think we have to be cautious. I'm reading a lot on Facebook, and of course it is so dramatically divisive, and I believe, Ty, that if we cannot create a community and then a world that can hear each other and speak, understanding the other and their perspective a little bit, we will be lost. And so what do you notice about this? Because you're right in it also, whether it's in your own family, whether it's with folks on Facebook who hold other perspective, whether it's the neighbor, whether it's just the news, and how do we speak then in a way that begins to limit this sense of division? What do you notice about that? Thoughts about that?
Diana, this is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Been a while,
Mhm.
but glad to be back.
I
Never
have
left.
thought of you often, Chris,
Never
as I
left.
know many in our Sangha have as well. In fact, I was just thinking the other day to say out loud, I was thinking I'm going to have to chase him down.
Yeah, well, you're in my thoughts with each breath, so I've never really been far.
Thank
But
you.
as you know, I think my family's a little divided. I've got three brothers. We don't really speak. And I've got a family wedding I was considering not going to. In fact, RSVP no for one of my nephews. And as it comes a little closer, it's next week, and I've been thinking that, who's this really about? Is it about me? Is it about them? Or is it about my nephew?
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think I'm trying to just avoid the conversations that might happen at that event. And I don't want to take away from, his day by being
Yes.
kind of a sideshow. So I told him, out of respect and loving kindness for his day, that I would not go. But I'm beginning to rethink that and how I might show up to really be there for him
Yes.
and, really be thoughtful and mindful, about, the conversations that might occur. And I just made a note to myself, and I think it goes back to the Eightfold Path. And what I really took away from that is, the right speech, first starts with the right view. They may not share the same view as me, but as my views have changed, I might just show up, and really the right speech might be to say
That's right.
very little or nothing at all.
That's
Uh,
right.
So I just want to thank you, for that.
I love the consideration, Chris. I love the consideration of being larger than the division,
Right.
right? And I'm going to promise you something. If you show up from that heart, nothing can go wrong. And I don't care what anybody else will say. You can simply say, "You are my brother. This is my nephew. So I am here," right? There's no other conversations. Because there cannot be agreement, probably, on more.
Right.
But that counts. That counts. I'm here because you are my brothers. I'm here because this is my nephew. That's enough. Because we
nephew
all
part is
know
easy.
what that means.
The nephew part is easy. The brother part might be a little hard, but
Yeah, but it doesn't change its truth.
No,
It's going to be, you're going to have to work into that. Yeah, I agree. Because, like, they're not mine. I'm not them. We're
right.
not that. Oh, but we are. Oh, but we are. And does it mean we got it right? Well, I'm only going to speak for myself, because I have not gotten it right many times, many, many times. And if, right, someone decided that I was only that perspective, that stupid statement, that ungrateful response, that whatever, all of them having been done, we'd all be in trouble. Now, it's not inaccurate also that I did say the wrong thing. It is also accurate that I have done the wrong thing. It is true as well that I have thought the wrong thing. And it is not all that I am. And I wouldn't want to limit that perspective, that view, to only those things that we have, in which we have been limited or failed or were confused or angry, because it isn't all of us, is it? It's not.
Thank you.
It is not. And not to say that we all aren't knuckleheads. I think so, and I'll start owning that with a capital K for knucklehead, and I am committed, as I believe at some level we all know, we have to find our way to greater clarity, kindness, compassion, and not necessarily agree. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I do believe the other can happen within it. There was a time, I heard someone say recently, when there could be discourse around differing ideas. There was a time. And so I believe we are capable. And I know that you are. So have fun at that wedding.
Oh, boy. Thank you.
Yeah. Big practice, right thing.
Yeah. And I love you.
From the right view.
Right.
From the right view. Then you do it. You follow it, right? Even when it's scary, even when it's hard, even when you're not sure, even when it looks like this could be, ugh, actually, I think if people can get the heart from which you're there, they will join it because it's bigger. And it certainly feels better than all the division, all the I'm nots, all the separation, all the you saids. And no one's going to ever get that all figured out anyway. Right. And by the way, as you saw in my the little read on the email, my brother made a joke, and not wrong. His joke was love the people you love and screw everybody else. That isn't just a joke. There is a perspective in it. By the way, I understand it also. I understand it also because I have not always had the energy. I have not always had the vision. I've not always had the heart to do more than that. I get it. You know, love the one you're with. Who's got time or energy for the rest? And, but this is the training. We're all in that training to be more and to grow something in that. And I'm grateful, by the way, for all of you on this path. And for these little moments where we go, you know, maybe I'll go. Even though like, oh, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. Well, it'll be a little uncomfortable for a minute, but it'd be a lot more uncomfortable if you didn't, probably, because now we're just propagating the division, right? So we're going to be practicing this week because, again, I'm seeing it everywhere. Perspective taking is a privilege that we bring following our ensuring connection. So if you start with, as I said, you are my brother and I love you, and then we don't exactly see this the same way, the message or the perspective is not lost in the larger view. And I think these essentials in communication, your perspective is important. I want to understand it also. I also would like to seek to be understood or to, right? And then there's no real disagreements there. My brother and I never had a divided word around that reality. It was all the facts that we don't see the same way. And, you know, who knows who's got the facts, by the way. I don't know either. I just know, you know, this perspective and that, and how do we try to find a way to hold them? We actually came to some agreements, by the way, on this very topic of rights and privileges and states. And there were many areas where in the conversation we could say, right, how do we get back to this? So I will leave it there, but let's think about what we're putting out into the world, into the universe, in language, because you are manifesting the mind. You're no longer leaving it as thought or view or intention. You're manifesting now, beginning with speech, which makes it so important. And can you imagine that out of an eightfold path that got added? That's how important it is. And not only did it get added, look where it got added. It's like, yeah, you have a perspective, you cultivate certain thoughts, and then how you speak it, right, becomes the first real way of manifesting our love, our goodness, our care, our hatred, our aggression, our ill will. And so let's look at that together this week. Practice it together. And again, can you have the courage to make that human statement first before perspective taking? I want to hear what you have to say too. I care about you. You are my brother. Share and connect regarding our humanness first. And then I trust whatever else comes. All right, everyone. It's almost 8:15. I'm going to go get ready to pack since I have not done that yet, except that I have my hat here. I will not be on next Tuesday or Saturday or the following Saturday, but I will see you on the 12th. Please, everyone, have a very happy 4th of July and celebrate safely, please. And I wish everyone well and well-being. Good to see you all here. May we all open ourselves continuously to this family of beings of which we are a part and cannot be separated. We cannot be separated if we hope to survive. All right, everyone, be well. To you all, Victor, good to see you. Everyone else, take good care.
Bye, have a good trip.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping that it is safe, and I'm expecting, as I think it was Carrie said, delays. Yes, it will be exactly as it is, and I can be with that. We'll be fine. All right, everyone. See you soon.